Welcome, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone in attendance. Let me just pull up one of my documents here. Awesome. So really happy to see the folks in the audience this evening. Bienvenidos and welcome. We would like to welcome you all to our final event for Latinx Heritage Month here at GCC. And we are very honored to be among students from UCLA who will be presenting about UCLA's Folklorico dance group, commonly known as Grupo Folklorico de UCLA. We're excited to provide a platform for our guests to share their diverse stories, voices, and identities as it relates to the wonderful art of folklorico dance. It's great to see new and continuing participants during our 1 month long celebration, and sadly it has come to an end, but we are closing things out with a bang. If you haven't already noticed yet, please use the link in the chat to sign in. This link is shared by David Crawford. This is very important as faculty and staff will be able to get their verification forms for credit. So please use the link in the chat. We have closed captioning provided by our wonderful captioner today. You can enable closed captioning by selecting live transcript at the bottom of your Zoom application and enable captions there. Thank you for being here. Lastly, this is a reminder that this event will be recorded, so please adjust your settings to your preference. Before we introduce this evening's guests, I want to offer a land acknowledgement on behalf of the Planning Committee. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We are currently occupying ancestral land of the Tongva people. In our work to promote social justice in education, we must always consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here together today. With that being said, I would like to introduce our guests representing UCLA's Folklorico Dance Group. Established in 1966, Grupo Folklorico de UCLA remains committed to the celebration of the Mexican heritage through the regional music and traditional dances of Mexico. With their membership base of UCLA students, alumni, and other community members, their goal is to create positive Latino, Latina, and Latinx role models and promote cultural awareness through their surrounding communities. We're joined by Aileen Ramirez, Crystal Santillan, Diana Jimenez Breseño, and Brianna Marquez. So with that being said, welcome, and I want to go ahead and hand the mic over to you all. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for the introduction. So hello, my name is Aileen, and then this is my co-Crystal. So I will share my screen if this works. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me hide this. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? I don't know how to present. Yes. Okay. So my name is Aileen again. This is my co-Crystal. And Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month aims to celebrate the various cultures that fall under this umbrella term. One of these cultures is that of Mexico. The culture in our experience is one that is vibrant, colorful, and expressive. One of the ways we see our culture come alive is through Baile Folklorico. So with that, we will begin our presentation, Baile Folklorico Mexicano, a look at Folklorico's development and significance throughout history.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal. It's so nice to see everyone. We have everyone here. So just a quick overview of today. We're going to go over First, Folklorico's origin and history, and then describing regional differences. And then we're gonna go over modern presence and grupo, so like of today, including our own group. And then finally, we're gonna go over our member panel, including us, our members. And then we're gonna conclude with just a quick Q&A.
Okay, actually, hold on a second. There we go. So what is folklorico? It is traditional dances and a culmination of those from Mexico's various regions and states. These dances tell a story through their intricate body movements, footwork, which we call zapateados in Spanish, and costuming. And usually these performances focus on depicting regional animals, historical events, and other regional elements. And overall, it is an artistic expression of Mexican culture. And I'll take this too. So the world of folklorico is truly diverse, and the costuming is varies from state to state. And here are some examples from, this is Guerrero, this is Sinaloa, and this is Veracruz. And now let's dive into its origin and history.
Okay, so let's do a little quick history lesson for y'all. So as a result of colonization, Mexico is infused with influences from indigenous, African, and European cultures that have transcended into this dance form. So upon its establishment, Folklorico has been created and maintained by those seeking to satisfy themselves physically, socially, psychologically, and spiritually.
Okay, so understanding its origin, we will now take you through some pivotal points in folklorico's history. And first, we begin with the Mexican Revolution of 1910. And during this time, it ignited a romantic nationalist movement that inspired artists, intellectuals, and government agencies to look at their native culture as the basis for the development of a new Mexican national identity. The concept of lo mexicano positioned traditional and regional dances as a way, and then position traditional and regional dances as ideal ways to acknowledge the cultural diversity within the Mexican nation, and that happened between 1948 through 1959. Next, el Movimiento Mexicano de Danza Moderna. This era saw a rise in folklorico being part of elementary school curriculum. And at the end of this movement, Baile Folklorico de Mexico was established and became a highly influential dance group in setting the standard for folklorico throughout the 1960s and 70s. And between the 1970s and now, folklorico groups have multiplied within Mexico, but in the United States as well.
So now we're gonna go into some regional differences. So the next slide, hopefully, there we go. Okay, so this slide shows the map of Mexico. Here's the map of Mexico. So when it comes to folklorico, every state is unique. But at the basis, like just to kind of understand it, we could kind of divide it into the north and south regions. So first, we're gonna go over the northern regions. And I'm gonna let Eileen take over this because I know this is her favorite.
Thank you. So, El Norte is a culmination of energetic and joyful dances, often performed with partners such as polkas, chotis, and relobas. And these dance styles were popularized during the Mexican Revolution. These regions are also highly influenced by Central European countries such as Germany, who brought the accordion sound that is commonly found in norteños. To visualize this style better, here is a clip from a recent competition in Mexico. Bear with me, I think my link messed up, so if it's sideways, oh well. Let me see. Yes.
Oh, I don't think we have your volume, Eileen, because you're wearing earphones. Are you?
I've got this. Give me a second. Let me test this because this always happens when I try to share this stuff. Share sound. Okay, one more time. Let me know. Mhm. Okay. I hate when it does that. Beautiful. So popular regions of El Norte include Chihuahua, like we just saw, and it also includes Nuevo León, Baja California, and Tamaulipas. And so then common steps in podcasts include punta y talón combinations, caretillas, pespunteados, y entrecruces, which is kind of like grapevines, and rapid turns that resemble the European style of dancing. Within El Norte, music genres that influence its performances include corridos and banda. Some key instruments are those of string, the accordion, and the saxophone.
Okay, love that. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the southern regions of Mexico, or how some people call it El Sur. So this is harder to encapsulate because there is so much more diversity in these regions. For the most part, they tend to include courtship. They can be slower paced, and they could be a little bit more elegant. So musical genres heard within this area are marimba, boleros, guapangos, and mariachi. An important instrument is I don't know how to pronounce this, jarana guitar. Again, to visualize it better, we're gonna show another clip right now. Awesome. Okay, so some of our popular regions in the southern part include Chiapas, Guerrero, Veracruz, and Jalisco. So as we stated previously, the South is a bit more difficult to give like an umbrella term, an umbrella like statement of the steps and the elements. So because it's a little bit more diverse. So with that, I will compare two of the very more famous regions, Chiapas and Jalisco. So Chiapas borders Guatemala and has indigenous and Spanish roots, but it is also influenced by African rhythms in its music style and the marimba. The dresses for Chiapas are usually black with colorful flowers all over them. They're gorgeous to see in person. They represent the vegetation of the region's rainforest. So for Jalisco, this state is in the west. The men wear the sombreros and the charro suit. They look so handsome, I swear, you guys. The women's costumes are rancheros dresses with indigenous influence in the colorful ribbons. And then Jalisco usually represents or is the national representation of the Mexican dance.
Beautiful. Now we'll move on to modern presents. So, as stated in one of the previous slides, Folklorico has transcended borders and now has many groups in both Mexico and in the US. Focusing specifically on the US, there are local and collegiate groups teaching Folklorico, and a group in particular is that of Grupo Folklorico de UCLA. So Grupo was founded in 1966, and this is a community-based group aimed at creating a space for Latinx students in a white-dominated university while connecting to the Mexican culture through dance. And in 2020, it was even ranked a top organization in supporting Latinx students. So now we will have a look at GFU and our members. So I'm going to play a little clip, but give me a second because my computer is all over the place. Meanwhile.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen here.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Ahí viene el toro, lo que yo quiero estudiar, que salga el toro, ahí viene el toro, que lo quiero capotear, que salga el toro, o una vaca, o un chivito, lo que yo quiero estudiar.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kevin. I'll go back. Hey, Diana. Okay. So, dang it. Give me a sec. How much do we talk? Beautiful. Okay, we're back. So now I'll move on to modern interpretation. So I interviewed a former artistic director asking her about her perspective on GFU and modern folklorico scene in the United States. So as for differences, Grupo Folklorico de UCLA is a beginner community folklorico group based at a university/college and consists of college student members, but she wouldn't label it as a collegiate level group. A collegiate level folklorico group, in her opinion, are the folklorico groups based in the universities in Mexico. This is not to say that folklorico groups based in the US do not perform authentic dances or do not have the ability to do so. Some of the instructors from these groups have studied at the university level and received their bachelor's in Mexican folk dance, which is what I wanted to do when I was little. And there are also workshops for more information available for dance instructors nowadays. And regarding if the interpretation has changed over time, she said, although dances keep their basic form, they have been used for different purposes. Dance is art, so these dances can be performed with a different significance or purpose, depending on what the director is trying to convey with their production. Finally, I asked about folklorico significance now. She said that within the States, its goal has always been to bring awareness to the culture. For people like herself who identify as Mexican but were born in the US, it has allowed her to find her sense of belonging.
Okay, so I also interviewed our previous coordinator, Aranza Guzman. She said that GFU, another word to describe Grupo Folklorico of UCLA, by the way, GFU provides a much needed space, even more apparent through the pandemic. As for significance, our group is no experience necessary and welcomes everyone who wants to participate. And here you can definitely find community.
So now onto our mini panel. For 5 minutes, our speakers, including myself and Crystal, will talk about their experience being in GFU leadership and their overall experience being folklorico dancers. So our first little speaker is our treasurer, Brianna Marquez. So go off, Bestie.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. Oh yes, and my background. You know when you walk into a space and people just don't know you dance folklorico, my constant thought. But yeah, I'm this year's treasurer and I'm here trying to get us funding so we can help or continue to host our lovely events that we have throughout the quarters or throughout our year here at UCLA. And so my experience with GVU so far has been nothing less than amazing. When I say that like our motto, like no experience necessary, I took that and I'm like, I'm gonna test it to see how like legit this is. Because I didn't have no folklorico background coming in and I was kind of nervous, kind of intimidating to go into like the first practice space. But once you step into that space that people have worked so hard to cultivate and create, it's just like, it changes your perspective on like how you feel at UCLA or just how I felt personally, because I walked in, low-key I was kind of awkward with the steps, but everyone was just so welcoming and just so like happy to see you there. They welcomed you with open arms and they were just like, yeah, let's just work on the steps together. So the community that we created centered around Mexican culture, I felt like was something beautiful and something that I am very excited that we have here as like avenues for people who just like want to be near people who love to dance, who love the folklorico style, and who just love to just have a representation of just your culture and going into new spaces and just showing people your culture and just like where your roots come from and just like what your family identifies with. And I think it's something completely wonderful. One of my favorite GFU memories was when we went to go perform for like a middle school and I was wearing the Chiapas dress. I know Cristal hyped it up because it's so pretty in real life. And I walked into the space and I was performing it. And after the performance, one of the little like kids come up to me. She's like, oh my God, you look like a princess. And that hit different because, you know, there are just some times, especially like with the political climate that like sometimes centers around like the discourse around like Mexican people or just Mexican culture and just the connotation that they have. I'm just happy to have this opportunity to represent us in the way that we feel we should be represented and just having that control over like how we want to be perceived with other people, by other people. I think it's just something beautiful that we have here.
Beautiful. So I know you have to leave. So thank you for coming. And she manages all of our money, so she makes sure we have funding. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I hope you guys enjoy the presentation.
Okay, now I guess since we'll do guests, now we'll have our coordinator talk a little bit. So go ahead, Diane.
Hi everyone, I'm Diana. Like Eileen mentioned, I'm the coordinator for Grupo this year. And honestly, I feel like Brianna put it like so elegantly and beautifully that I'm not really sure what to add. But I think for me, Grupo has been such a safe space for me on campus. I joined it like my second year, and it was like something that I was like resisting for a long time. I think it's like when you're on a campus that's so big, and sometimes it's just like your identity, you like kind of question it and like whether you belong in certain spaces. So I saw Folklorico and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should join because I don't have any folklorico experience. Um, I'm not sure like if I'm Mexican enough to join it or just something like that. Like it's like another layer of imposter syndrome. Like I feel like it comes in every single form if you're there. And I was in one of my classes, and I was lucky to be like with one of the people that was in Folklorico, and she invited me over to the performance, and I absolutely fell in love with everything. Even after I like fell in love, they were performing at Royce, and it was so beautiful. I still wasn't like completely sure if I wanted to join, but that summer after, my grandfather passed away, and I really wanted to do something that like honored him. And I went to Folklorico and I was like, you know what, regardless of what happens, like I'm gonna go try it out, like just like something out. Like this is like my excuse to do it. And I went in and I found so much more like than I expected it to be. It has been such a fulfilling experience for me. I think to me, it's more about the community, and everything that I have been like being with people that like are Latinx, not just like Mexican exclusive. We are like not just like I know like folklorico, we traditionally do Mexican folklorico dance, but um, just across Latin America, Central America, South America, it's just really beautiful to have like that community there, and that has been like my space. I think it's more that than the dancing at a lot of points, just because I never had folklorico experience before, and to me, like what keeps me pushing through all the songs as we learn them, is like just being in a community like where I can just like be with everybody else there, and we're all like trying to learn the steps together, always having like such like a great energy with each other. We all identify with each other in so many different aspects. It's very like holistic, and like you're not just like in one club and you're like, oh, with the people who are pre-med, the people who are like in this major, that major. It's just like Latino, Latinxes like trying to do something for their community, and you can tell like so much passion is in that club. Just like trying to learn every single thing, and like people that are in leadership trying to like put on like shows for everybody like that. It's just been really great, and I feel like so much pride in being in it, especially like coming with like no background. I definitely see like I tell my family about it and they're like so proud, and I just like love showing them like this is like something that I'm doing for all of you, doing for myself too. But it's just been really beautiful experience, and just seeing representation on campus, when people stop by and they're like taking pictures, taking videos, and they're like, what is this? And then you get kind of get to tell them a little bit of what's happening. And it's like something they've never heard of before. And it's just like you get an immense sense of pride, I think, like every performance, whether you're performing for other Latinx communities or whether you're performing people who have never seen the dance before, it's just extremely beautiful. And it's just like something I take very much pride in being part of, like as a member and like in leadership. It's just something that like it has been my most meaningful experience at UCLA, definitely. And it's just something that I could recommend to everybody, no matter your levels of experience and like what you want to do. Like if you want to find a community, it's like in GFU.
Love it. For fun, favorite region and why?
Favorite region? Ooh, I wanted to say Jalisco for the longest because that's where my family's from, but it's too complicated for me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like not, I can't get the steps down. I would say the region, I know it's like, if I go to, I guess it's like basic, but I love Sinaloa. It's so fun. It's just so, actually, I take that back. Baja, super fun. It's like super fast paced and super exciting. It's like you're dancing at a party, I feel. And I feel like that's where I get most of my energy from. So I would say Baja for Sinaloa.
Thank you, Diana. Crystal, do you want to go? No.
Yes, I can go. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Crystal Santillan. Can I like introduce myself too? So I'm a third year. I'm double majoring in Chicano studies and sociology. So yeah, I've been with Grupo Folklorico de UCLA or GFU Since my freshman year, but sadly that got cut short because of COVID. But it's definitely been a wild ride, I must admit. Even through the pandemic, I would say GFU has kept me through everything. It's been my support system, it's been my family, it's been something I could express myself with, like, no matter what. Like, I came in from high school. I was also in a Latin dance club, but we didn't really do like focused folklorico steps. It was just like a kind of like club, I guess. But even then, I was still trying to find out who I was. It's not like I didn't know like my sense of culture, or like I didn't know my history, because obviously in the high school systems, you know, like they do not teach you ethnic studies. They do not give you classes on your own history, but I'm really happy that they're starting to, obviously. But yeah, that Latin dance group has provided me such like a kind of an introduction to finding out more about my culture. So I just knew from the beginning of coming to UCLA that I definitely wanted to continue this path and like my journey, and finding out more about my own culture and more about my family, more about which ways I wanted to express myself. I'm very artistic. I could say that. I love painting and I love dancing. Those are my top two favorite things to do. So I would definitely say like I came here wanting to dance. I came here wanting to perform, wanting to learn the steps. I even like told myself, oh my gosh, I wanted to be a folklorico dance teacher in the future. I'm still thinking about it, low-key, high-key. But even when I got here, yes, we learned how to dance. Yes, it was hard. Yes, I did not have any experience, but same thing how Brianna and Diana said, they found a sense of community and family. And that has like kept me up through everything. So yeah, I guess for my first year, it was definitely more of like an introduction to Folklorico. And then my second and this year, I got the opportunity to take on leadership roles in our cabinet. So that has like introduced me to like a wider array of what goes on with their culture. So like you kind of get to like take initiative in holding performances, reaching out to the community, telling them about your culture rather than just performing, which was really amazing. And then obviously for this year, I'm campus and community liaisons with Eileen. We're the best co ever. What else can I say about it? Yeah, I would say like to anyone who's like thinking about it, like, oh, I don't know if I'll be good. I don't know if I want to join. I don't know if I'll learn quickly. No, 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 no. None of that. We learn quickly. We learn at our own pace even. And there's no shame in that. And I would just say like my advice to everyone who is interested in trying out folklorico or any like form of expression, whether it's through painting, whether it's through like joining a club, whether it's like debates or something, just like try it out and you'll find out who you are and like what role you take on. Like it's just a fun ride, I would say. But yeah, that would conclude my story. And then my favorite region, this is a hard one because I have like complicated statements. My favorite dance, like of all time for folklorico, is Flor de Piña. It's from Oaxaca. Um, when you have like some spare time, everyone, look up Flor de Piña. It's flower of pineapple. Please, it'll change your life. So yeah, that's my favorite. But my favorite region to dance like overall is Veracruz because like I love the like fast-paced zapateados and like it's just really fun and elegant. I love elegance. But yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, my quick turn. So unlike everybody else, I actually do have experience dancing, but I try not to let that get in the way. I always get the numbers wrong. I think this is my 12th year dancing folklorico. I started really young, and it helped me stay connected to my culture, just because my dad is from Mexico. My grandparents are from Mexico. They were actually neighbors, which is kind of funny. So, it was a way for me to stay connected to them and kind of showcase that I am proud to be a daughter and a granddaughter of immigrants. And once I was accepted into UCLA, I didn't expect myself to be hit so hard with imposter syndrome. And it was so shocking to me because I knew what I wanted to study, and I still do, but I was so kind of just a culture shock of being in a white dominated university and just like being in these level classes where, everybody is like-minded and everybody is the star of their school. So that was a lot for me to deal with. But because I knew that I already liked to dance, I just stuck it out with Grupo, and I didn't even make friends until January. I went to practice every day and just did my steps and went home, and that was a vibe for me. But over time, I just like really found a community with my friends. One of like Diana and Crystal, like really for real. And being in leadership with them has just improved my experience at UCLA so much, and I'm so grateful for that. And like, it really just helped me overcome a lot of anxieties I was having, and allowed me to become more expressive. And now with being in leadership for the first year with Crystal and being in charge of outreach to the greater Los Angeles community, like we're doing with y'all tonight, it just like, it really shows me how much Folklorico can unite people and just find community, even if you're not Mexican. Like, it does not matter. It's just being able to find like-mindedness and just try to find people who can understand the struggles that you go through. It's so relieving to find. And even more so, having fun dancing on top of it just makes it way better. So even though I've been dancing for so long, this really has been my favorite group that I've ever been in, just because there's way less stress and it's so much fun, and the people here are amazing. So those are my 2 cents on dancing. And then my favorite region, with Grupo, it's been Baja for sure. But then I think in general, it's probably Guerrero, which is a southern region, and they do like a lot of like intricate handkerchief work. So that's been my favorite. And we thank you all for letting us do this panel really quick. And then just for reference, if anyone was curious, in the pictures, Crystal is wearing a chara suit from Jalisco. Diana is representing Oaxaca and Chinas Oaxaqueñas. Brianna is showcasing Veracruz. And then I'm showcasing Jalisco. So, yes, please something. And so now, our finishing remarks before we get into the Q&A is Folklorico, like many arts, constantly shifts. And while it does remain authentic to tradition, it is still unique to the individual directors and the groups that they are a part of. And like, as we all shared in our little panel, like just now, individual significance varies. But at the end of the day, I feel that within our American society and just everything that's been happening the last couple of years, Folklorico really is a humanizing representation of the Mexican culture. And I feel just with all of this rhetoric that's been going around, it's nice to feel like human for once and be appreciated for what we do. So with that, we will open to Q&A. If anyone has questions at all, please feel free to ask. And if not, we'll blabber more.
While folks are typing in their questions into the chat, I have a question for you all. So many of you shared how GFU has impacted you personally. How do you think that GFU has influenced UCLA?
Well, we are one of the oldest student-run organizations on campus. So that already in itself is quite like a good mark of how much we've been able to do since being founded in 1966. And while we are appreciative of UCLA for allowing us to display our culture, we are upfront that they don't fund us whatsoever. Everything, all our shows, we fund ourselves. And like our big show in May costs at bare minimum $20,000. And we do that all through funding, thanks to Brianna. So although we recognize that, we do feel that by allowing us to have our club and showcase throughout the clubs there, perform at May and in November, and also within the greater LA community, it allows for more Latinx students to like just be walking by sometimes and then think this is interesting and join and then find community. Like a lot of members that we have joined because they just saw one of our shows. So it's like having this awareness, cultural awareness, just allows for more people to feel at home when they may not be home. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Crystal, do you have something to say?
Yeah, something similar. I would agree with Eileen, definitely, that it's very prideful that we are student run. I mean, like we could finally say like even though we like appreciate all the help we can get, all the funding we could get, all the donations we can get, we are student run and we do this by ourselves. So it's very prideful to say like we're doing this for our culture and like we're just making that initiative to take those steps forward, and like we can show other cultural groups like you don't need anyone's help. You don't need anyone's like momentum. Like you could start it on your own and like don't let anyone stop you, I guess.
Thank you. I got another question in the chat that was messaged to me. How did you learn about the different styles of Baile Folklorico? And is it embedded in GFU, or how do you all go about that education aspect?
I guess from a folklorico dancer standpoint, not necessarily GFU. I feel like Crystal will probably be better at answering that part. At least from a folklorico dancer, just general perspective, it really is just passed down through tradition. And the more you dance, the more you start to see these like individual distinctions. And it's just like kind of how like in the US, like the West is very different from the East. So it's the same thing in Mexico, where it's just the North is very different from the South. So you have different influences, like migrating and setting foot in some places. So that obviously makes a lot of differences. And then from region to region, it really is just like they all try to represent something from that region, or they are modified because of that. So it's like, for example, the Veracruz dresses are super light and white because they live on the beach. So it's hot and humid. So they have to modify to fit that. And then they represent like animals or like special events from their region and they showcase them. So that's from Folklorico separate, but GFU.
I would say that coming into GFU as a freshman, I didn't know that there were so many states, so many regions of Mexico. Like what? I thought it was just Mexico. Not gonna lie, but like I'm from Zacatecas. My family's from Zacatecas, and I was like, am I just gonna learn about my own region? Am I gonna explore different regions? But yeah, it was just the first practice. We practiced, I believe, Sinaloa. And it was just so fun. Like, and then the next practice, we practiced a whole different region that was just slower, or like just a whole different beat. So like, I would definitely say like the different regions, like it definitely represents that region and like what they stand for. Like how Eileen said, for example, oh, my own example, I always bring it back to Flor de Piña. I love that dance. Like Flor de Piña, like they hold a pineapple on their shoulders, and the pineapple, I believe, represents like the vegetation of like, or like Oaxaca like is so rich in like pineapples at one point. So like they wanted to kind of have their own dance to represent that. And I thought that was just so beautiful. And yeah, it's just so overall, like it's so fun like exploring and trying out those different regions, because you could kind of like get to see kind of a history in each region. And I think like especially in the vestuarios, like in the costumes of each region, you could kind of see like, oh, like was it really hot there? Like did they really like embrace different values like marriage, like, or like I don't know, things like that. Like for Sinaloa, it's definitely like, I feel when I dance Sinaloa, I feel very cocky. Like I feel very upbeat and like I'm showing off. So yeah, you kind of get like your own vibe in each region, which is really fun.
Thank you so much to you both. I think that's it for questions. I didn't receive any more. Do you have anything to close us out before I mentioned last few announcements?
No, at least for, yeah, finishing remarks, I said it in the last slide, but on behalf of Crystal, myself, our group, we thank you guys so much for listening in and learning about us and what our mission is. And if you are interested, follow us on Instagram at GFDEUCLA. We have 2 shows coming out quite soon. We don't know what day, but they'll be out very soon. They'll have a lot of different dances. So if you want to see more, check us out. That's all from me. Do you have anything else, Cristal?
Yeah, since we usually would say check out our website, but that's currently in the process of like changing. So like we're kind of changing websites right now. So like I guess if you would like to see our past performances that we did over the pandemic, because we usually perform in person, right? But over the pandemic, we recorded our performances, which is really good, actually. Like we tried out a different experience. I would say go look that up on YouTube, like Grupo Folklorico de UCLA. It pops up. You could watch the whole show, and it's just so amazing. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Crystal and Eileen. We're so appreciative of you. As student leaders, as students at UCLA, to come in and educate us and really kind of relish in this wonderful art, right? And what a way to close out Latinx Heritage Month in this wonderful art form. So I want to go ahead and thank you all for coming. I want to thank our attendees for coming. Before you all leave today, I just want to make a quick announcement, and that is next week we have a full array of programming put on in spirit of Undocumented Student Action Week. And there are several events that are slotted between October 18th to October 22nd. I believe Jamie, who is part of the planning committee, has dropped the flyer into the chat, but there are very interesting events and informative events talking about undocumented health. There will be an open mic presented by Voices, our undocumented and AB 540 ally student club, undocu entrepreneurship. There's an undocu student diversity panel, as well as an undocu ally training. So please check out this website, check out the flyer, and hopefully we'll be able to see you there. But with that being said, thank you all so much for celebrating Latinx Heritage Month with us, and we hope to see you at future cultural diversity events. Thank you so much, everyone. And don't forget to fill out the survey, which is shared in the chat by David. Have a good evening, everyone.